Welcome back to Road to Fire. We're a family of three documenting our journey to FIRE, financial independence, retire early. Let's talk about our June 2021 portfolio update. I'll provide a snapshot of our investments through the 18th of the month and outline how much we've invested so far this year with all real numbers like always, so please hang with me. We are about $2,200 behind our monthly investing target. We have invested just over $3,700 after-tax dollars into the market, and our goal is to be around $6,000 a month. I shared in detail why we made this shift, but in sum, we are putting more of our cash into sinking funds, particularly to help us save for our down payment on our next home. We've decided on an owner-occupied single-family home, and I'm happy with that. We had originally wanted to house hack one more time before we started homesteading and settling down, but I think it's time. We've moved almost 10 times in the last 9 years and lived in over 4 different states, and enough is enough for us. By the end of the month, we'll have about 50% of our target down payment ready based on our current market. This is the perks of living in a low cost of living area, as getting into real estate is a little bit easier. As we hit the mid-year mark of 2021, I'm overall happy with where we are financially. If you're new here, I want to provide a quick background on who we are. But first, don't compare your financial journey to anyone else's. It's so easy to compare your start with someone else's middle or even their end. It's unfair to yourself. But who we are, we're a family of three living in a low cost of living location in the States, and my husband is 33 working as a project engineer, and I'm a senior manager working in innovation, and I just turned 32. Last year, our combined household income was over $300,000 pre-tax, and we hope to be close to that this year as well. But what you see today is the product of years of smart yet scary career moves, privilege both seen and unseen, God's favor, and classic immigrant grit. Okay, so here's a snapshot of our portfolio in May or last month. I always share this to outline our progress month over month. Our portfolio was just over $311,000, and the majority of our dollars still sit within our traditional IRA. I get this question a lot or quite frequently on why we have most of our funds in our IRA versus other accounts. Well, it's because my husband and I are notorious job jumpers, and every time we leave a company, we roll over our 401k into a traditional IRA that sits within Vanguard. The investing options are more vast, and then we have more control over our 401k. I'm not going to lie, we still have one 401k to roll over, but the most are in our IRA right now. By design, our non-taxable brokerage account represented 25% of our total portfolio in May, and this will act as our bridge account during early retirement and before we make our Roth conversion ladder. Despite investing less in May as well, we still saw decent returns. So June has started off much better than expected, despite all the media rhetoric around the markets crashing any day now. Here is our current investment portfolio through June 18th. I always break it out by what type of investment accounts we have and provide the balances within each individual account. First is our IRA's accounts in Vanguard, which now is 49% of our total portfolio. The balance is just under $160,000 with a small increase from this time last month. Next is our company's 401ks, which are held in Fidelity, and the balances are just around $27,000. That is up $4,000 month over month, as the company match is helping us despite lower gains. We then have about $80,000 in our brokerage account, and this includes our son's custodial account as well as our non-taxable brokerage account in Robinhood, M1 Finance, and Vanguard. Unofficial goal is to get this to around $100,000 by the end of the year. Then we have our Roth accounts, which has a balance just around $51,000 with Vanguard. I love watching this account grow as it's all tax-free gains. And our last account is our HSA, which is now 2% of our total portfolio, up 1% from last month. The balance is just over $5,400. So our total portfolio amount as of June 18 is $323,456, which is up about $12,000 versus last month, despite us investing lower than planned. I would say having our company's matches on our 401k and HSA does help us get closer towards our goals. So here are some of our recent individual stock buys. We are working on building our dividends portfolio, so we bought a few dividends to get things rolling. I shared all the details in our last dividend portfolio update, and I will link that here if you want to check it out. June right now has proven to be better than May, but this can change in a heartbeat. These check-ins are snapshots, and as we know, the market is fluid and can change at any point. And that's what keeps things fun overall. So I've been studying options lately. Now when I say studying, I've been watching YouTubers in this space, and that's about it. I have not put anything into action, no puns intended, and I might not anytime soon, but I really wanted to up my investing knowledge this year. I am a bit nervous about options overall, but nothing research can't appease. We've always invested using the DCA method, and this will probably be how we keep things going so far for the most part. We may front load some of our investing money starting in Q4 of this year, but DCA is how we always have done it, and it's worked really well for us. But I'm curious about options and this type of investing. My brother and other close friends have invested using options, and I would be lying if I was not jealous of the returns over the years. Now, if you've ever invested via options, let me know what books, podcasts, or how you got involved, as I'm curious to get my feet wet in this later in this year. Okay, so what do we invest in? Here is a list of our top holdings across our entire portfolio. Nothing should be a surprise here. Our auto investing in our Vanguard accounts go to VTSAX and VDADX, which covers the total U.S. market and high dividend yields. We will always have this as our top holdings. We then have VSGAX, which is a small cap index, and then Love, which is my favorite individual stock. Now, I don't fly Southwest Airlines, but we have had such great returns with this stock over time. VSUX is an international ETF that I just added a few months ago as I'm working to adjust our asset allocation. And then we have Wells Fargo, or WFC. Okay, I absolutely am not a fan of Wells Fargo. I do bank with them as they were the first bank I ever opened, and because I am so lazy to adjust all of my auto billings across several accounts, and I need to finally make that switch over sometime soon, but I just haven't. But I got WFC or Wells Fargo stock right after the Great Recession, and it's been good to us overall. But I do plan on selling this and shifting the funds into another index fund soon. Overall, though, our top holdings are the classic FIRE index funds. So here is our 2021 investing tracker. As of last Friday, we've invested $33,530 after-tax dollars into the market with the key goal of investing about $75,000 this year. We are at about 44.7% of our goal, which is about where we need to be right now. End of June marks the halfway point of the year, and we're not doing too bad overall. I do know this will be a little bit harder to do as we continue to save for our next home purchase, but the only solution is to make more money. That's because our expenses are relatively low and fixed, and basically most line items on our budget are at an all-time low anyways. But our income potential is endless. So we will always work to find more ways to increase our income to push ourselves to invest more. I am so happy with how much we put into the market already this year, and I hope the market continues to be nice to us. Either way, we're here for the long run. Now, the top 3 biggest expenses for most Americans are housing, including mortgage or monthly rent, transportation, and groceries. I bet this is not a surprise, but if you can find ways to tackle these 3 areas and decrease these expenses, then you'll be able to open up more room to invest and save. Now, if you look at our budget today, our top expenses outside of debt is childcare, tithing, and our mortgage as expected. But that hasn't always been the case. Food, housing, and transportation was always a big issue for us. We have struggled mainly with groceries, or shall I say, I have struggled with food or grocery shopping as I absolutely love food, and I am a yo-yo dieter, so that comes with its own sets of issues as well. My husband, thankfully, is not a big spender, so it really comes down to me managing my impulse shopping. I've come a long way, but budgeting has really helped us rein in our expenses, and simultaneously we have also increased our income. On top of budgeting, we did these 3 things to help us cut our expenses and increase our investing month over month. First, we moved to a low cost of living city. We have always lived in the Midwest for the most part. My husband did have a contract down in Florida for a short time, but that was when we were living apart. We have always stayed within the Midwest, which has kept our housing costs lower than many areas across the country. We recently moved back to my hometown, which cut our housing expenses down even more. By living in some undesirable locations, we were able to save more and spend less and cut down on our debt. For example, right after grad school, we moved to a small town in Wisconsin with a population of about 11,000 people. Now, our rent for a 2-bedroom, 2-level townhome was just about $900, and it was a new build. Housing costs these low made it easier for us to pay off our student loans really fast. Number 2, for transportation, we cut our commutes in half. Moving back home was not just to get us closer to family, but to get us out of our cars. My husband and I commuted over 1 hour one way for both of our jobs, and that amounted to over 10 hours a week in the car prior to COVID. We have since found new jobs with commutes less than 27 minutes each way. This was a game changer for us, not only for our bank accounts, but for our mental well-being as well. Shorter commutes meant less maintenance and lower gas or electricity bills overall. And as we transition back to hybrid work models, I'm so happy that we no longer have such long commutes. So the last thing we did was to get our grocery bill to about $325 a month. I used to be the buy the meal shopper. I would go to the grocery store and buy ingredients for maybe 1 or 2 meals. We now work to meal plan and find ingredients we can use across multiple meals versus one. We shop mainly at Trader Joe's, which means private label. We use coupons such as Ibotta, and we limit our time at Target. That was a big one for me. Apart from these changes, we also shifted our diet. Now, I hate using the word diet, but we really have formed a better relationship with food. These small shifts helped us save so much money. The small tweaks make the biggest difference. I always try to live by the 80-20 rule, and we really work to focus on a few areas within our spending and budget that was causing the most issue for us financially. Moving locations, changing our diet, and finding new jobs that shifted our commute are not easy changes, but these changes provided us with more financial security and mental peace. Now, I know the changes we made aren't for everyone. Not everyone would enjoy living in a tiny itty bitty town, but we actually enjoyed our short time there. And I know our food budget might seem incredibly small, but it works for us. And commuting is inevitable for most, especially in larger cities, but that's besides the point. Take a moment and review your top 3 expenses and find ways, if possible, to make adjustments to cut them down to open up more room for saving and investing. Now, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. Until next time.